call meeting to order, Thursday, July 11th, 10 o'clock morning session. There's a few items we're gonna skip on the agenda. If we're not finished by 10:30, we're gonna shut it down for a few minutes to go to a conference call with the OEP to talk about the hurricane. We are supposed to finish it. I'd like to give Mr. Darrell to say the pledge, Mr. Kirk to say the pledge. Please stand up.
Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recite the Lord's Prayer. Our
Father,
Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
All right, go to number 3, 2018 audit financial statement, Mr. Boyd Benson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll keep this brief, real short. In front of you, there's the audit report for the year ending December 31st, 2018. It's an unmodified report, it's a clean report. Everything is in order and presenting for the accounting principles for the year. Really, the general fund is the main fund that the parish has at the end of the year, ended with cash of about $12 million, unrestricted cash at the end of the year. Your fund balance is around $13 million at the end of the year. That number represents roughly 300% of the annual operating expenditures. As a rule of thumb, 50% is considered a strong financial shape. So you guys are really good financial shape, going forward. As far as for the year, in the general fund, there was a loss of about $1.5 million in there. That's after transfers out of $2.1 million to the road and bridge and the courthouse. So if you kind of take out those operating transfers, you end up with a profit of about $700,000 in the general fund, and that's really what's unrestricted that the police jury has to maintain. As far as findings, everything is good. No findings at all. We also did some agreed upon procedure report that's in there too. There's no issues with agreed upon procedures. So that's the quick of it. Any questions?
We're in good shape.
You're in good shape, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to work for the police jury. If anyone has any questions throughout the year, please feel free to give us a call.
Good. Thank you, sir. All right. We're going to skip, I think, 4, 5. We'll go to number 7. Amendment to flood damage prevention and building code and permit ordinance. Carol?
All right, so we have 2 ordinances that we would like to amend. And within the flood damage prevention ordinance, the penalty section, we would like it to reflect how it is written in the building codes, which means right now what's in place, it states that we can imprison them no more than 6 months, so I don't think we want to do that. So we want to enjoin them from using the structure or building without it being into compliance, meaning if they not meeting base flood elevations, or if they got a permit for RV and they pulled in a manufactured home. So we're trying to stiffen our fine on within the flood damage prevention ordinance to reflect the same as the building codes. Also, within the building codes, we had some additional codes that came into effect, adopted by the State Uniform Construction Code Council. And this is the National Electric Code, International Building Code, International Mechanical Code, Fuel Gas Code, and the International Energy Code. So we would like these codes to be listed in the ordinance, and we revised the section to state that the most current additions adopted by the State Uniform Construction Code are hereby adopted and regulated. So that is the change pretty much for the building codes. And then we wanted to state that if we have to bring any of these property owners to court, that they would have to pay all expenses incurred by the parish for inspections and court costs for us to enforce these provisions. And the other amendment is to, back after Hurricane Rita, we did these affidavits for these manufactured homes in certified trailer parks. And so, this was put into place in 2008. We no longer need this section. All mobile homes going into, we have, I think, we have 3 parks that are certified as mobile home parks. So when this was put into place, FEMA came in and we had to put a moratorium on this, and then Ike came and pretty much took out all the mobile homes that weren't meeting elevation requirements and filed the affidavits as a pre-certified mobile home park. So this section is no longer needed, so we would like to just delete that. And I think that's pretty much it. Y'all have any questions? I think it's on the voting meeting to start advertisement if y'all are all okay with it. The fine did not increase, it's staying at $500. So
You don't vote me?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people are out of compliance with this rule now?
Well, since there's about probably 10 to 15 since I've been here, and I started in 2007, so.
Good? Everybody good? Don't vote me?
Yes.
On the voting meeting, to begin the public advertising, public notice process.
Okay, all right, did that. Okay, we're gonna skip number 8, we're gonna move on to number 9, and food truck with Mr. Sonny McGee.
Are we ready, Jenny? Do we need any more discussion on this?
All we need is to decide, and I was talking with Kara about some different possibilities of how we might want to do it. The one I put in my memo is that we would, Kara would prefer that we amend the one that we used for, what number is that? 1070. It makes an exception for a food service facility on privately owned property on a temporary basis not to exceed 6 months, provided the owner is actively pursuing acquisition or construction of a permanent facility. I would delete that part, okay? And renewals can, and of course, they have to be, meet all the requirements of the sanitary code. So that's a whole separate thing. Now, one question I had was, do y'all want to include something in there for the private businesses, not non-private businesses, at festivals and fairs? Because right now, the sanitary code was changed and they reference it, but we don't really have anything that authorizes private people to sell at the fishing festival or the festival. The little
Right,
private
that's
trucks.
And that's what I wanted, all I wanted was an exception put into the ordinance that says Olive Beach is not under this rule. And to allow some business, somebody to come in and provide food services to that area during the summer. And I know this, I want this to be temporary because I don't want to lock something in that's not working. If it doesn't work, we want to take it out. But we want to give them a chance and see what can happen because there's a lot of concern.
Well, if we continue to have it on a temporary basis, then they would need to get the permit renewed after that period of time. And so that way you could decide whether or not you want to continue on with it. Now, one other thing was, I had someone talk to me about snow cone ice cream trucks are different under the sanitary code. They don't have to have a kitchen. They do have to report back to somebody else, but if they have prepackaged, there's a whole section on frozen desserts, which is different. So, I don't know if y'all want to include something on that, to authorizing those. That wouldn't have to be on a temporary basis. Those would be the kind that would drive around. Or you could make them have to stay in one place.
Or do they have to go back to a,
They have to go back, they call it a depot instead of a commissary.
but they do have to leave every day?
They have to leave every day, yeah.
Yeah, but they just selling ice cream or snow cone, they can't be selling nachos and stuff like that.
Just for ice, just for frozen stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you could do, you could do, that would be one that you could, if you wanted to have an ice cream truck that could just ride around, you could do that. You could make it to where they could have frozen stuff, but they had to go park somewhere.
Well, wouldn't those regulations be governed by, health board?
Correct.
They are, but right now, we can't have those things because of our ordinance doesn't
Right, but
allow.
if
So,
we write the ordinance that Olive Beach is carved out, then they wouldn't be able to come, I mean, as long as they follow the rules of the health department.
Mhm.
I don't know if we have to do it separately, Jenny, or not, I mean, it's up to you.
okay, what we could say, I just wanted to know, Sonny, because one time we had some discussion that they didn't want ice cream trucks riding around. They wanted them to stay in one place. So that way, we would just leave it like a food service facility on privately owned property. You know, that'll cover the ice cream trucks too. Now, they have to comply with the health department, but that would still cover ice cream trucks.
One clause, I would like to say that those spots, those private spots, would be approved by the parent. So when they start up a spot anywhere, they have to have it approved by the parent.
Well, if it's on privately owned property, I don't know if we can do that. If it's on privately owned property, I don't know if we can restrict where they go. If it's
What's
on-
the difference than if you, what's the difference in driving up to the, if it's a traffic issue or a safety issue?
No, I mean, like, if somebody in Holly Beach wants to rent their little corner of property to a food service truck to park there during the summertime, I don't know if we can prevent them from doing that. If it's privately owned property, see, Gigi was on, the property owned by the motel.
The reason I say that it should be approved by the parent is that some of those places are tight and traffic could be a problem. We don't want to get kids run over trying to get stuff on.
I'll put something in there about providing locations now to be acceptable by the permitting department does not prevent a danger to public safety, something like that.
Are we talking about a public and publicly owned property?
No, let's
No.
talk
We're
about
talking about a
private.
privately owned, segregated property.
Right, okay. I'll make that change,
And would you need the sheriff involved in it?
sir.
Well, I feel like if we get complaints, the sheriff's office, I feel needs to citate them, yeah.
Yes, there's a thing in there for,
The
there's a
problem,
penalty provision.
yeah, the problem is going to be if these units are going to remove daily to report back to their commissary.
This is still just a trial for Holly Beach, nothing to do with her, just something we're working on for Holly Beach.
Not yet, I guess, I don't know. Let's see if it works, David.
Well, last week I said, whatever y'all get, I want, and then Louis said, I said, hell no. So, I wanna say hell no, that means I want it.
Okay.
I will say the thing, you know, we had one at Rutherford Beach this weekend. I know he didn't have a permit, but he stayed there all weekend long. And I look, Cowboys, snow cone, whatever it is, we got local people that's got one that need to want to go on the beach now. And his nonprofit organization is the firework, that don't work.
But this doesn't require it to be nonprofit. This says an exception for a food service facility, local food service facility on privately owned property on a temporary basis, not to exceed 6 months. They have to get a permit here, and they have to have considerations for public safety, and then you just put the location of where you're gonna authorize it.
Yeah, so a fellow who owns a truck can get a 6-month permit, and we can say, stay right there by the pavilion. on limestone, that'd be fine?
That could be where your permit would be issued for.
Okay.
Mhm. Or so we could even say, a food service facility on publicly or privately owned property.
No, we got at least, I mean, where you go?
Yeah, but that's okay. I
State
mean,
land,
if
we
you
have-
wanna say, I want it to stay by the pavilion
Yeah.
on your lease, I think that would be a good safety thing, and then it wouldn't be riding up and down or anything like that. So,
That's just for, ice, snow cones and thing, or food and all?
this one right here is for
Do it all at one time at the
any
same
food
time?
service.
Are you putting a food truck over there, or you gonna put it like a snow cone?
I don't know.
What you mean you don't know?
What I just said. If I don't know, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's gonna put a food truck over there. Nobody's come up to the beach committee and asked them to come on there or anything, except for one person.
That's what I'm saying, is it gonna be a food, if it's gonna be a snow cone truck, just to go to the beach, you said you had one this weekend for the 4th.
I didn't have it, he got on there without a permit.
Okay, so who enforced it?
Nobody. Who does enforce it?
It would be the sheriff's office can
There you
write a
go.
ticket.
That's why it wasn't enforced.
It's like an ordinance.
That's why it wasn't enforced. He was leading the parade.
Okay.
So I just want to state that for the permit, they have to provide us health unit approval.
I think we're headed in the right
Yeah.
direction. You guys work on that, and we don't want to kill it one time, we have to.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
I know y'all have
yeah.
another
And
thing.
I wanna say-
I will do that. Yeah, what do y'all wanna make for a fee?
So right now, we have a permit fee schedule. For commercial, it's $100. That's the flat fee. If y'all don't want to follow that, then we're going to have to put the fee in place in this amendment.
Be flat. Just see what's going on.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Okay?
Well, if it's only gonna be in Holly Beach, let's see what it does here when it goes into effect. Let's see how it works in Holly Beach
You
first.
still have to get an occupation license.
Yeah, they're going to have to get
Let's
occupational
see what
license.
kind of, see what happens in Holly Beach, let's see what kind of enforcement
Well,
happens.
I'm
Let's see
gonna
if
write it out,
anything-
well, whatever y'all
Well,
tell
it
me,
is.
you wanna
$100
put.
a lot of snow cones. That's a lot of snow cones. You make $100.
I know.
Okay,
So I don't need one for the ice truck.
Yeah, I think
Truck for
we-
me.
I
Just,
think-
all he needs is the permit. Okay.
They still going to have to have health unit approval.
Okay.
For ice cream, snow cone, food truck. Anytime you're vending food, drinks, you have to go through the health department.
all right, good enough, good?
I'll send something to y'all, but, and you can decide if you wanna do it. You know, I think if you would speak to the sheriff, Sonny, I think that if we would give him a draft of the ordinance and ask him to hold off on enforcement this summer, then they could go ahead and something, and I'm sure you can.
You're right, I mean, you're running into probably the August meeting, Jennifer, it's gonna be October before it takes.
Right.
I agree, that's why I think if you give the sheriff a draft and say, you agree to just hold off on
Probably missed, you're gonna
enforcement
miss
of
the
this
summer.
until, now, we can't speak for the health department, whatever's out there gonna happen.
And it seemed like there was a lot of urgency when it first was brought up. I haven't had the first person contact, you haven't heard anybody show up, anything. So I don't-
The next, Labor Day's the next holiday, so, you know, I mean, they're not gonna have it by then.
I don't think it's gonna be a mad rush and a big trailer park set up for, fair.
Okay.
While I'm up here, do y'all need to talk about the,
Yeah, we'll talk about, yeah, we finished
you
the
wanna
food
do
truck.
that after the meeting?
Everybody done with food truck? All right, we're gonna go to number 10, you're gonna be up here too, yeah, talk
All right,
about
let me get my
the animal control, Mr. Default.
Yeah, I had a resident in my district, had a complaint he brought to me, and it was all dealing with the dog, school dog, they come in his yard, and, so he called, he wanted to actually have the dog picked up by animal control. So he called Sheriff's Department, they took all his information, they wanted to know everything about the dog, everything about his location, where it happened, what happened, and all that. He gave them all of that, and he thought he was gonna get the animal control personnel to come out and pick up the stray dog. The deputy come out, anyway, the deputy come out and informed, the resident that animal control don't do that. They don't come out on these calls. Wanted to know, he just wanted to, he was wondering, why we have an animal control person and not have, why is the sheriff's department, and I apologize, I should have informed the sheriff, and maybe we can further this discussion when the sheriff gets here, but at another time. But that was my complaint, and the deputy stated to the resident that the rules had changed. The rules had changed. That animal control, he wasn't gonna call animal control out, and he couldn't call animal control out. So I guess my question is,
I don't know, I can tell you the answer, I don't know anything about the change.
Miss Jenny, I
don't know
can
anything about it.
answer, I can answer him.
I just wanna know, has the rules changed?
We actually changed the rules, and it was last year, last summer sometime, but the only rule that changed was the deputy has to have a signed complaint form by whoever is calling it in. So when they call the dispatcher, they should tell them that they have to get with the deputy will go to them, they have to sign a complaint form. If they don't agree to sign the complaint form, animal control is not gonna go out and pick the dog up. And the reason,
He told me, because I asked him, I went back and asked him if the deputy had provided him anything to sign a complaint or anything. He said no. He said the only thing he would tell him is that the animal control, the rules have changed. Rules have changed.
But it's not the rules or the law change, the process. We need something that gives us authority to go out there and do it.
Who's supposed to provide that?
the deputy, it's right here, the deputy does it. This is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the deputy that does this. And the reason why we did this, let me backtrack a little bit. We had an RV park in Johnson Bayou, and the guy went home, and the homeowner got pissed off because he left his dog. And she called and reported the dog. We picked up the dog after our 5 days. We're holding the dog and stuff. Guess what? He come home, and an hour later, he was too late. So that's why this paper went in. That same homeowner called for us to pick another dog up right before Mr. Tim got hurt. The deputy was out there, Mr. Tim got there, the deputy had to leave all of a sudden. I told Mr. Tim, don't grab that dog. This paper is going to be signed. Guess what? The trailer park people changed their mind. They won't sign this paper because they didn't want to report their own person. So to this day, we haven't had to go back. But this paper here, this is the sheriff's office. Complaint form, it has nothing to do with my paperwork. This is what they have out in the field. So he should have got that homeowner to sign this paper, and then animal control goes and gets the dog.
Okay. Well, I wish the sheriff would have been here, but anyway, he's not, so maybe it'll be a question for later, or why that, deputy didn't provide that resident a complaint form to sign, because he would have.
We really need to do something about, pick up the dogs that are nuisance dogs, and y'all are keeping them, and it's $5 a day.
Well, let me ask you
And
something.
next thing you know, it's $1,000.
You know,
because-
The
because-
people can't get the
Jenny,
dog.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If the sheriff's deputy goes make an arrest and collects evidence, who's in charge of, who is in charge of collecting and keeping that evidence?
Well, the
Is it the
sheriff's
district?
office
Is the
keeps
district
the
attorney?
evidence, but that doesn't apply to us.
What you mean?
There's nothing that requires the sheriff to be the animal control officer.
Yeah, but if he's collecting, I understand that, if we picking up nuisance animals, we got a process that we can go, we can keep them for 5 days.
No, they keep them till we go to court. Okay.
But you saying that the sheriff is the one that's responsible for collecting and holding evidence?
No,
I'm just saying that the parish.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that animal control is the one who's responsible. This isn't possession of marijuana. We have a separate animal control authority that's under the police sheriff.
Yeah, but it never was under my understanding that we're gonna keep and collect evidence for the state
For months and
For
months
months
and
and years.
And
months.
months and months and months, and it runs up and nobody can pay it.
And who's responsible, I say, who's responsible for keeping and holding evidence? You saying it's the sheriff?
There's the
No,
sheriff
I'm
right
not.
there.
I'm saying
Bonnie,
that.
come up here. Come up
Yeah,
here,
go,
Bonnie. We'll
go
welcome
up
all that over the
front.
conversation.
Up this table.
There he is, Ron.
Poor baby.
We're just talking about animal control.
No, it's 10:26.
And I did apologize that you wasn't here. I wanted you to be here and I didn't have the foresight to make sure you was here. I had an animal, can I bring up some people, got time?
Yeah, I don't know, we got
You
just
got
so
4
much
minutes.
time for this thing.
I just wanted to bring you up to speed. I had a complaint in my area where a resident made a complaint to the sheriff's department. The dispatcher or whoever he talked to filled out a bunch of information. I got all his information out anyway. And he dispatched a deputy to his resident. And he was told by that deputy that the rules had changed and the animal control couldn't come out to pick up a nuisance dog. And he never, the resident told me that the deputy never offered him to sign a complaint or nothing like it. He said, now, the dispatcher asked him all kind of questions, wanted to know where he lived, what color the dog was, what kind of dog it was, where the dog was, what it did, and all this. So the deputy comes out, and he says that the deputy told him that the basically was telling him the rules had changed. All he wanted was the animal control to come out and get the dog.
Right. I don't know when that was, Lee, but at one point in time, the police jury couldn't handle any more dogs because it was full.
This was days ago.
Huh?
This was days ago.
Oh, okay. Without knowing the complaint and looking it up, we'll find out about it, and I'll get with you with the name and see.
And the reason the reason I brought it up, it was because the deputy was telling the resident that the rules had changed.
Right. I have to see, I've got things from, different people, their interpretation, and I have to see what the deputy said, if they made a report, what the resident said, but there's no rules that's changed.
There's some state rules now about disposal of animals.
Sheriff.
You gotta have a hearing
No,
and
man,
all this
I'm not
stuff.
trying to make a big deal out of this. All I'm saying is that the resident asked for animal control to come out, and the deputy said, no, the animal control won't come out.
Well, you was told the deputy said that. I'd have to ask the deputy what was said also between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm just talking on one side, and that's why I wanted to give you an opportunity.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you who the deputy was.
But let's talk about the process. Right now, when somebody calls a complaint, we ask for a complaint to be signed by the person making the complaint. That way, we have something on when we go pick up that dog.
That's not a problem.
That's what changed.
That's not a
We
problem.
we asked them to do that because we had 19 dogs in our possession at one time. And it fills up and we have to hold dogs until they go to court for months and months
And
and
that was
months.
that was the next thing we was talking about, is holding animals. You know, animal control got developed, we was gonna go like 5 days, we'll pick up the dog, we'll hold it for 5 days, we're gonna bring it to the pound, that nobody claimed it, and that was originally. Now we're holding dogs for a long period of time, and my question was to Jennifer was, who's responsible for collecting and holding evidence? And she said it was you, the sheriff's department.
No, I did not.
Then
I said that the police jury is responsible for animal control. This is not the same as possession of marijuana.
I asked the question, who is responsible for holding and collecting evidence, and you told me it was the sheriff. I didn't say nothing about the
Not
dog.
in this kind of case. There's a separate, and I said that, there's a separate section, there's a separate responsibility for animal control, which is under the police jury, not the sheriff.
Well, I understand that, Jenny. And all I asked was, who is responsible for it, and you telling me it's the sheriff, it's the police jury's responsible to hold and
The
collect
police
evidence?
jury is responsible to hold these dogs. That's why we need to get something changed.
Depending on why
You
we're
don't have
holding
to-
them though.
Right, if it's because they're abandoned, you know, that's a different
But if
thing.
somebody has a DWI and he had some dogs there, and
That's
then
what
we
happened.
take possession of the dogs, that there was no crime involving the dogs. The guy got DWI. We held those dogs for months.
And she came to court this week, and the judge ordered him to pay half the cost of what it was. It was like $1,200, and she ordered him to pay $600.
But when we hold those dogs, we contact y'all's office to say, okay, can we release the dogs or all that? And we act on y'all's guidance when it comes to dogs held under
And the
those
problem is,
conditions.
the man bonded out of jail, and we didn't know where he was to get him to come pick up his dog. But we're gonna miss our conference
Yeah.
call, so we
We'll
got.
stop for a few minutes, go to the conference call, we'll be right back. Session, how we got them dogs.
Well, the sheriff stepped down, so maybe.
The sheriff?
He stepped down. He was gonna make a call. There he comes.
Yeah, he's on the porch.
Well, the only thing I want to say about the dogs is, let's go back and get a clarification of what we're doing and who's responsible. And if we need to change something within our animal control, then y'all need to report back to us and let us know.
What
I know
Daryl,
I know the sheriff is probably gonna go back and read his report, and I hope you would go read your report. and see
All
on
I
that
need is the
particular
name
case.
of the complainant to see what we got. And whenever, not now, but we'll look it up here.
Yeah, I mean, the complaint comes to me, so I'm coming to ask questions.
Right.
And the only reason I'm asking the question is because what he told me is that the rules had changed.
We're gonna find out,
Yeah.
And if it's a situation on our part, we'll get it corrected. But, we gotta make sure that what the deputy said was, make sure that what the fellow said and make sure that, they're all on the same page so we can go back to them and get that corrected. And we take the criminal part, but the nuisance dog is a criminal, and that's certainly a pickup dog. There's no problem at all, you know?
but I just feel like we gotta do something about how much money this costs the parish. These dogs. I think there ought to be a way where they could bond the dog out for $100 or something like that.
Well, what's the, and I know the judge is not here, maybe that's a good topic for next month where we could get the judge here to talk about it.
Yeah,
There got to be a better way than us holding dogs for 300 and some odd days. And we got a dog, according to Ms. Emily, that it takes 3 people to handle it. It's so bad.
and the reason why it's still there is because these people insist that dog is not vicious. They won't plead guilty. We schedule their trial, it's a bench warrant, they don't show up. We pick them up, we reschedule their trial, they don't come back. So I know exactly what dog we're talking about.
Is there,
He bit the deputy.
would there be a need for an ordinance to say how long we're gonna?
I talked to the judge, there's also some state law about this, so we're gonna have to coordinate with that, but we have different, we've got dogs that we're holding because they bit somebody or they killed chickens or something like that, okay? Then we've got dogs who were abandoned, and so we're holding them because there's nobody to feed them. And what we've had to do in the past is we gotta go find a home for them because they never claim. And so they're just there at the animal control for months and months. We had 3 horses one time that we had there for months and months.
What is our process?
We normally hold them for 5
5
days,
days.
and then we,
Then
take a,
and look, this is regulated stuff, y'all. We are not set up for these long-term,
Yeah.
things.
I mean, I just.
And we'd have to, we're spending money holding them.
and when
We'd
we,
have to spend a lot more money to start
my concern is that everybody needs to be on page. The sheriff, you, and the message that we're gonna send out to our public, so that if the rules change, he's aware, you're aware, we're aware, so we can make the public aware.
Now, the only thing that I will add to this, because everybody needs to know this, we do not pick up an injured dog. We do not pick up an injured dog because you're not gonna be able to figure out who that dog belongs to unless it has a chip. Because you have to pay to bring it to a vet, and then you gotta pay whether it's gonna cost you $3, $3,000, $5,000, and then who determines, no, that dog's not having surgery because it's $6,000. So we have never picked up an injured dog since we have started this, even before Rita.
Injured, strays, that's not, I mean, you know that.
What you mean, straight?
Just run on the side of the road.
No, surrender.
Okay.
We don't pick up surrender.
Surrender, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
surrender.
surrender.
But they have to be nuisance, I mean, and there has to be a complaint filed.
And that's fine. I'm just saying what was told to me, and I know the sheriff will get.
I'm gonna get with Emily and the sheriff and the
Okay.
judge, and we'll see if we can come up
All right.
with something.
Thank you.
I'm good with that. Jenny, about the library, Jenny got something to talk to us about the
Yeah,
selling
did
of the
y'all
library
get
property real
this,
quick.
this little memo right here? Okay, what we found is that, the police jury is authorized to sell surplus property. So y'all did your resolution last time saying this is surplus property, that was what you needed to do. Now what do? There's no set one way that you have to dispose of your surplus property. So sometimes, we use this, there's a method for the school board, okay, sometimes we do that. There's a method for cities, sometimes we do that. But it looks like you can have you can get a real estate agent, a broker, you can have a public auction, you can have sealed bids, or you can publish an ordinance and maybe ask for response to, to ask for proposals from someplace. And Karen and I talked about it this morning, and also I discussed it with Mary, but I think that what we want to do, of course what we want to do is get the most money we can for that property, okay? Now, it appraised, I thought, pretty high, but I don't know how easily we're gonna be able to get the appraised value for that property. The AG opinions that I give you a copy of in here says, fair market value, you gotta sell it for fair market value. That's not the same as appraised value. So if you can establish, look, we put it out for bids, nobody bid, we had somebody come in and offer us 20% less than appraised value, 30% less than appraised value. At some point, you get enough evidence there that it's what a willing buyer will pay for that property. That's what fair market value is. So if we use the school board method, then you have sealed bids, you advertise for sealed bids, you say the first time they offer it, it has to be at least 85% of the appraised value. Now, because we did this with the waterworks, the first time we offered, we said no bids below the appraised value. Okay, and we had bids that were we had several bids above the appraised value. So I would suggest that we start out, we advertise, here's the appraised value, we're asking for bids for the appraised value. If we don't get any bids, we advertise, then we'll start following, we can go for 85% of the appraised value. And then it says, the only thing that if it doesn't get 80% of the appraised value, the property can be re-advertised and sold to the highest bidders. But you don't have to sell it to the highest bidder. So I would think this way would, if we're coming up and the most we can get for that property is $10,000, then we ought to hold on to it. You know, so I think this would be the way that would probably optimize the amount that we could get for it. It's going to take some time, but we're really not in a hurry. I mean, it's not like the thing where we have somebody else who wants to move in there. So that's what I'm gonna prepare the advertisements to start it that way, if it's okay.
I'm good.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with that?
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Okay.
That's good. All right, let's, review our agenda real quick. Number 9, where we come in out on the road project?
It was $1,039,500.
Of course it was.
Mary,
Yes, sir.
our rec board up there in Grand Lake, we still have an appointment to do?
The rec board, it's the one y'all tabled for Monty last month?
We appointed you,
Yes, sir.
but we have one, another one,
Monty resigned, y'all tabled it last
he
month.
resigned. So we still have one more to appoint at the next meeting? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dupont, we'll ask y'all to, on item 21, they didn't hear, they weren't, but that was one of the things we canceled, so. We'll ask y'all to table that.
Can we have an add-on?
Yes, we got, Dan confirmed he has, to add on, to give OEP authority to call evacuation should conditions exist. He's drafting it right now, but we're gonna, I mean, we can take a break just to inform the public, Mr. Dupont, we did change the meeting from 2 o'clock, we moved it up to 11 o'clock due to the potential storm threats. And we notified the camera pilot, the public, Miss Cindy Sellers helped us with that, and we have it on our website, so if y'all wanna take a break, we'll do that and come back. It's after 11 o'clock, so we can start it at any point that y'all.
Can I talk to the railway people for 1 second? It doesn't have to be on record.
Well, we're still.
Well, you wanna, we're
Whatever-
building
whatever
things still
you
on.
draw.
Everybody okay with the agenda?
We're gonna add on, that's the only add-on we have.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody good?